yes, everyone's fine. Actually, we have mentally started to get over it. It's been too long. There have been affected people in the house, in the family, but they've all recovered and are fit and fine. So that scare is gone, but you just need to be a little bit conscious, a little bit careful of what happens till the vaccine comes out, whenever it comes out. But so far, so good. Life has to go on. You cannot be not doing anything for so long. So it's important to get back on road and do things carefully. As a gentleman said that the world has changed. You adapt different things differently. You do things differently, and I think that's all what we have to do. And I think we will get through this.
Thank you for that, Sourav, and more importantly, thank you for fitting us into this busy schedule of yours. I know we were tempted to ask you for a time yesterday until I was told that there is a big Bengal clash going on between the East Bengal and Mohun Bagan giants of Indian football, and there is no way that you could shake Sourav off his screen. So we said we will take the safe option of doing it on a Saturday and not on a Friday evening. I hope the result went to your favor.
Yes, ATK Mohun Bagan won 2-0. It's a tournament which you've been part of. You keep asking me questions, but the world should also know that the IPL from 2008, you've been such an integral part. Even the ISL during this period, it's in the sixth season, and you've been an important part of it as well. So you've seen both the leagues grow, and I think ISL has really, really gone forward. I've always said at the start that ultimately it's the football which will remain, and we've seen improvement. It's a tough game in India. It's not as privileged as it is as cricket is. There's a lot of hard work to be done with football, but I must say Reliance, Star, the All India Football Federation, and everyone who's involved with this have really done a commendable job in the last 5-6 years. This needs a bit of time, but I see great signs for ISL in the days to come.
It's another young startup, and we are talking about startups and entrepreneurs. Sourav, I'm going to start right at the beginning. I'm going to rewind about 4 decades of your life, and start where it all began for you as a young boy out of Calcutta. You were very influenced by your brother, and you had a significant brother input into how things were shaping up. What was your early childhood like with the family that you were in, and some early memories and things that shaped you or motivated you in the early years of your life?
You and me, both of us were, or many of us here, were brought up in a different world when we were young. The world which my daughter or your family sees at the moment is completely different than what you and me have seen in our growing up stages. There has to be no television. Nobody even thought what a mobile telephone was. Nobody even knew what a computer was. So our life used to be school, mom and dad pushing you to study and to get away from it, get to the field. I was born and brought up in Calcutta. In those days it was just a football match city. It still is, but I think cricket has taken over. But in those days when I was young, football was everything to this city. So like everyone, I grew up kicking the football. I studied in St. Xavier's School, one of the better schools in the city. And my mother was very keen on me studying, and my father, who was already a part of the Cricket Association of Bengal. Cricket in those days was different, not the billions which you see those days. He used to tell me that the office bearers used to put in money so that the under 15 and the under 19s can go and play these senior tournaments. So it was a different era then, and they have served the game. So my interest in sport was always there. My father loved the sport. The club culture in Kolkata, club cricket like in Bombay, Delhi, and Chennai, anywhere else in the country. The club cricket culture was there, and I was put into club cricket, and slowly went on. I played the under 15s, I played the junior levels, and then went on to play Ranji Trophy. But the most important thing was that in that generation, and I'm sure a lot of us do this in this generation also, that when we had time, we played. And we played all sport, whether it was badminton, whether it was football, whether it was cricket, whether it was hockey. I actually played every sport in school. And I wasn't just a pushover. Definitely not in football, maybe not as good as cricket, but then cricket I obviously pursued over a period of time, practiced, trained, got better, then took it up as my career. But you went on playing every sport. There were no parties, very conservative culture, the city of West Bengal, and I'm sure Bombay was also this very similar in 1980s, early 1980s. So in a conservative culture brought up, So sport was the only way out, and that took you to your friends, and that gave you time with your friends, that gave you time away from your studies when your mother would sit down and say, take out your maths books and finish the arithmetic before the teacher comes in. Your only option of getaway was to take that football and go to the pada ground. So, so we grew up that way. Television, there was nothing. I remember Doordarshan was the only channel, and there was some other than cricket, there was some ordinary programs going on. So the world was completely different, and growing up was that way similar, not at all exposed to the world like the children are these days because of mobile and internet. So and I thought life was a lot simpler.
True that. Now, having said that, if you had rented that recreation of sport turn into something more serious for you, and you're talking about you having made a career choice pretty early in your life, whether willingly or unwillingly, you became in what we proudly call these days as a professional sportsman. In those days, if you're good enough and you got a chance, you just climb the life of a cricketer. And if you look back and see it as a professional career, people in their 30s and 40s are still deciding what they are good at. And here you were as a teenager or just out of teenage, you already made a career choice saying, I'm going to play cricket for the best part of my life. And that's an early start for anybody. When did that choice happen? Who pushed you into it? Who mentored you in that phase?
I just played, Sundar. I got picked for the under 15s at that stage. Never thought that what I'm going to do when I was 25. Maybe youth, a young age or youth makes you think that way. You don't think that far. I enjoyed playing the sport. My brother was already playing for Bengal, and I came from a pretty well-to-do family, so I did not have to worry about jobs or going for work pretty early. My father encouraged me to play because he wanted both his sons to play the game. Like a lot of my colleagues, whether it's Sachin's son or Rahul's son or Anil's parents, yeah, I beg your pardon, Rahul's father, Sachin's father, and Anil's parents, all of them wanted their kids to play, and my father wanted to play with no pressure. I kept playing, went one step after the other. I played for the India under 19s. I was picked to play against Pakistan. I remember then I got 100 at the Wankhede Stadium. But till then, it wasn't a career. It was just that I kept playing at different levels. Then they selected me for Ranji Trophy. And in those days, my first Ranji Trophy fees was 400 rupees. So you could not make it as a career then. You
Yeah.
had to see the other options. I got employed because of my cricket, and that employment was actually being a part of the wave. Here, 10, 11 players of the Bengal team are employed by that company, so they are offering you a job. So you also move along that line and get employed. So that's the way it worked. And actually, when I first played for India in 91, 92, that's when I felt that maybe this could be a career for me. But in sport, especially in cricket, there's no guarantees. You live by every game, you live by every series, you live by every year. So you just had to take that particular moment, do well, and then move on. And to be honest, I only when I played for the country, only when I remember going to England in '96 and getting back-to-back hundreds in the first two Test matches. Then only I realized, I could make this as my career because I can continue to play for the country. So that takeover was very crucial in my life, because if you don't perform, you go back to Ranji Trophy cricket, you play for a while, and then the fizz goes out of it, because you look at different avenues, you look at different ways of succeeding, because you're growing up and you needed to support yourself and support the people around you. So to be honest, if you ask me what point, for me the point was, I think, when I came back from the tour of England in 1996. It made me believe that I can do it. A lot of people asked me that, after those back-to-back hundreds, I still remember going into that press conference, and they asked me that, oh, you proved everybody wrong. I told them, I said, listen, this thought never came to my mind. What I'm happy now is that at this particular moment, I can sit back and tell myself that you're good enough at this level. You've been put under pressure, you've been given an opportunity to play for the country, and you got two back-to-back hundreds. So this is an opportunity for you to make a career, because you, from inside, not what people say, not what the critics say, not what the media says, but from inside as a player, you start believing that no, I can perform at this level. And that's where you decided that, this could be a career option for you.
Wow, that's that. Most people tend to attribute that that 100 as a changing phase of Indian cricket, not just in the career of Sourav Ganguly. The fact remains, Sourav, most people think success is achieved overnight. They don't understand or value or appreciate the effort that has gone in before. So I'm going to quickly take back the 4 years before 1996 happened. You made your debut in 92 in an ODI, and you had to face 4 years of patience and self-belief. And most businesses go through that. Some of them give up very early. Some of them don't realize that they can stand up, like it happened for you. Tell us the emotions or the thoughts that you went to in that period between 92 and 96.
Sundar, I was very young. I was just an 18, 19-year-old kid at that time when I came back from the tour of Australia. So it didn't matter to me. I know I went to Australia, I did not get opportunities, and rightfully left out for the World Cup, and I came back to India. So at that age, you don't think that far. As I said, I came from a well-to-do family, so earning living was not the most important criteria at that moment. I was still studying, I was still in college.
Yeah.
So my mother said that you have to finish your degree and get back to your desk and table and study and become a graduate and see what happens. And I actually came back and enjoyed playing for Bengal. I enjoyed because we were a good team then. I had my dearest friend Arun Lal at the helm of affairs then, and he was a fantastic human being. He's still one of the best people I meet every day in Calcutta, and I enjoyed playing with them. We were winning. We were a good team. And at 18, 19, you did not worry. I never thought when my next chance would come. I never thought whether I would ever get a chance. Maybe it's that age. It's that age which makes you think differently. I thought differently even after playing more than 300, 400 games when I got left out for a small period of time. So I think situations make you think differently. So I enjoyed playing for Bengal for 4 years. Later, as I was growing up, as I spent a bit of time, I started to expect, because people were saying that he's good, he can play for the country. So at times when the selection committees used to happen, the teams used to be picked, I used to go and look into the newspaper whether my names come out in the list or not. Uh, and I think that was just when I was getting 20, 21, 22 and starting to score consistently in Ranji Trophy. That's when I started to expect. And then I got picked in 96 when I was just 23 years of age, just going to 23. And as you know that God was kind. I got hundreds in my first two test matches back to back, and that changed the world for me. So I never went back those 4 years thinking that my life would come to an end. And I think none of us, when you're a young, I'm sure when you were 19, 20, or when you went into your first job, maybe slightly older, 24, 25. I don't know whether you lost the job or whether you worked with the same company for a long period of time. You must have also felt that, that's fine. I got an opportunity, it didn't work, but that's not the end of the world, because I've got age on my side and I've got talent, so I will find my way back. I think that sort of a mindset was at my side during that period. I thoroughly enjoyed for Bengal, and as I said, I'm fortunate that I got success straight away in international cricket, and I think that changed my life, because not many get success in international cricket instantly. So they have to work a bit harder to make people around them believe, to make the team believe, to make the captain believe, to make the selectors believe, no, this fellow is good and he can serve the country. So it really didn't matter to me those 4 years.
Oh, that's fabulous journey, and we've sort of understood where you came from in the 70s and 80s and the early phase of your career. I want to fast forward 4 years, talking about 2000, when you took on the captaincy. You established yourself in the side. You had, you've seen the world. You've traveled the world. You've scored at all parts of the world. It's more than self-belief that you had, that now you have the ability to lead and inspire. More importantly, what was some of the things that changed for you from being a player to being a leader? Did it put any sort of pressure? And you took the leadership at a very, very difficult time in Indian cricket. You as it happens time and again, even in your presidency position, you didn't take it up at an easy phase of the game's career in the history of the game itself. What were those emotions? What did you go through, and how did you handle them?
In the year 2000, when I became captain, I still remember my first team meeting in Kochi. I walked into that team meeting, and believe me, I wanted to finish that team meeting in 10 to 15 minutes, because as I walked in, I saw three captains sitting on the meeting table. Azhar, Sachin, Ajay had captained a few games, and three people who are good enough to be captain: Anil Kumble, Javagal Srinath, and Rahul Dravid. So before the team meeting, and my wife had come to visit me because it was my first game as captain. So I told her, Ki, what do I say? These boys were my captain, and now I have been asked to captain the side. So how do I address the likes of Azhar and Sachin at the start of my career? So I just announced the team. I just wished everyone good luck. Thankfully, we were playing at home, made a few points, and I don't remember what I said that evening. And I was so happy that the meeting was over. We did well. We won the next game. We won the game day after in Kochi. It was very, very hot in that part of the world, and we beat South Africa. So that eased my pressure, eased my pressure. But bet you I was seriously under pressure. I was happy. I was. It's the biggest opportunity for any cricketer to lead your country, at whoever at different stages. Whether it was me, Rahul, Anil, Sachin, MS, now Virat, it's a huge honor, and I must say the first 2 3 days, the first couple of games were very very nervous, but then I settled down. It's like taking a deep breath and telling yourself that don't behave like a fool. You've been given a job because the world believes that you're good enough, and look at you, you have got shivering legs when you walk out to do it. So it's that deep breath and that inward strength you started uh, taking yourself that, hey, listen, I have to do it, otherwise they will think and I'm an absolute idiot. So it slowly got better. I slowly started getting strength. What it also helped was that a lot of those boys, whether it was Rahul, Sachin, Anil, they played with me from my under 15 days. So Rahul and Anil were from South Zone, Sachin from West, I came from the East. We had under 15, under 19 camps those days, so spend a lot of time with them. So that eased the pressure. I would go to them, I would spend a bit more time with them, learning things, trying to talk things. But then it settled down slowly. It was a great journey. Yes, Indian cricket was in a little difficult times, but to be honest, I did not know what was going on, and I asked Rahul many a number of times that, listen, all you hear, all the reports and all the write-ups in the press, did you ever have an inclination? Did anybody ever call you and ask you to do something? And none of us had any clue. So I actually did not believe in the initial stages ki yaar aise bolte rehte hain. I don't think it's true. But I think I was fortunate to lead a great bunch of cricketers, not just players, but fantastic human beings. And I think it makes a massive difference in any team sport, in any group of people working together. If the quality of people are good, they actually make their life easy. And the great players like Sachin, Rahul, Anil, VVS, then Virender Sehwag, Harbhajan Singh, all who came and all who went on to play more than 100 test matches. Not only they were just great players, but they were great blokes. They worked with you, they helped you, they had the interest of the team in their mind, and all of them were capable of captaining India. You name it. Dravid at 3, Tendulkar at 4, Ganguly at 5, Lakshman at 6, Kumble at 8. All of them were capable of captaining India, and I was the one leading them. So I found myself fortunate. Without their support, we would not have been able to build the team. I had a Mad Max in John Wright, who I loved to the core. Such a fantastic human being, but you should see him in game time. The biggest, I would say, the beneficiary on the negative sense was the freezer in the dressing room. Every time a wicket would fall, the freezer would be in trouble because he would take a bottle of water, bang it, abuse to himself, and then go back. But one of the loveliest mans, and he's still one of my best friends. I still keep in touch. He's old now. He's 67, 68, and he's back in New Zealand. But I thoroughly enjoyed those 5 years. He supported me. He was nice to me. We fought, but we respected each other. We argued. I remember the day before the NatWest final, I had a massive argument with him. I did not let him speak in the team meeting. I was so angry with him. And the next day, when we beat England in the finals, he came back to me quietly and put an arm around my shoulder and said, you are not playing well for the last 3 or 4 games, so I needed to finger you a bit so that you perform. I got 60 or 65 that final, and India went on. He said, I needed to shake you up so that you turn up and win this game. So I'm happy you won. We are back as friends again. I said, who said we are friends again? I'm not friends with you because you've been very rude to me yesterday. But then we went along, and his family used to stay with me when they used to come to India. So great mates. I think great teams, great organization have great mates playing together. I think that's very very important. A successful team always have people who are close to each other, who understand each other, and in spite of the competitiveness of positions, in spite of the fight for retaining your place, there was a massive respect for each other in that unit, and I think that helped us to play well. Winning away from India was our main motivation or main goal, because we were a very good side at home, and I've felt over the years that you did not need captains when India played in India, because the wickets were spinning. You had some great spinners over the years. I was fortunate to lead Bhaji and Anil 1,000 wickets amongst themselves in Test cricket. So you just had to give the ball to them and stand at point, and they would pick wickets. So for us, winning away from home was important. And as I said, India has produced some great captains. You know, MS Dhoni probably would be the greatest of all. But I thoroughly enjoyed that period with the national team, 6 years, and played with some great players. I saw change the change of Indian cricket during that period in the terms of fitness, in terms of culture, in terms of biting the bullet when going abroad. When I started, I used to see difficult pitches, seaming pitches, win the toss, and bowling was the first option. Bat when the wickets were at their
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
But
Classic.
that was a change, going to Headingley, going to Adelaide, going to Brisbane, winning the toss and batting in difficult circumstances and putting the opposition under pressure day 4, day 5. So a mindset change I saw, and the mindset also changed, Sundar, because there was some great talent. You look at the dressing room. Number three, not the number three actually. Number one, number two, number three, number four, number five, and number six. All of them went on to play 100 Test matches. Sachin went on to play 200, and all of us in that period went on to play 100 Test matches, which is a sign that they were consistent players over a period of time.
You know, it's poignant that you say this. The one of the earliest drafts of IPL that we are putting together in 2007-8 was, how do we ensure more cricketers can get a career or a living made out of playing the sport that they so love. It's just so unfortunate for the rest of the 1.2 billion at that time. If you're born in an era of Sehwag, Sourav, Sachin, Anil, Lakshman, uh, and the likes, 6 or 7 of the slots of the possible 15 are gone for 10 years or 15 years. So you are never going to get a slot if you're a batsman in that star-studded lineup, but you still have to make a living playing the sport that you did. So what you did as a captain and in 2000 and the NatWest is fantastic for India as a nation, because it changed the mood, it changed the sentiment and the momentum, as we call it, for the sport itself. Tell me, like most businesses, when the youngsters come, they feel the older generation are not in line with the new thinking. Does captaincy or leadership have a shelf life in your view?
Yeah, everything has a shelf life. There is no doubt about it. In sport, it's slightly less. In the corporate world, it's slightly more, because sport is so physical. Sport is real time. When you nick a Glenn McGrath in the first over of a Test match, you can't go to the umpire and say, "Can you revert your decisions?" and you want to bat again. You can't. So, but in other aspects, there's an opportunity to correct yourself. I think leadership is most important. You talk about younger generation, you talk about senior generation. I think good teams, good corporates, good brands are a mixture of experience and youth. You need that fearless mindset of a young person, along with the sense and the experience of a senior guy. And I think the reason why we were so good during that era, because along with the likes of Tendulkar, Dravid, Kumble, Lakshman, Ganguly, there were the likes of Yuvraj Singh, Virender Sehwag, Mohammad Kaif, Harbhajan Singh, young Zahir Khan coming. So it was a perfect balance of people who had the flair, who had the fearless attitude, who would just go out and express themselves. But you needed that experience to put a name around them and say, go and play. Go and play. We will back you. We will support you, and we will allow you to become players. MS Dhoni came in 2004, my third year of captaincy. So that generation produced so many champions. From forget about us four of us five, which we were spoken about, but look at Sehwag, look at Harbhajan, look at Zahir, look at Dhoni, look at Yuvraj. They've just taken the next step. Obviously, Virat Kohli came at a later stage, but looking at a Tendulkar, looking at a Dravid, looking at a VVS, they were role models, young players who came in. They actually wanted to become like them. You know, you must have heard, because you've been so passionate about the sport, and I must say to everyone that the main reason why IPL is so successful here today is because, along with BCCI, it was Sundar Raman who was also the architect of it at its early days. So you know, it is about trying to become like those role models. You know, it is about trying to become like Sachin, and those that generation produced such amount of champions because they got guided by those fantastic players. So it's important that, uh, one thing you must always remember, that in sport, players are produced in winning atmosphere. I'm not saying that players are not produced when a team gets beaten, in sport. You will get beaten in sport. But in sport, the best players are produced when they walk into an atmosphere where the team is winning, because it gives them confidence. It makes them believe that I'm here to be a part of a winning cause, and it completely changes young players. So I'm a firm believer that a good corporate, a good cricket team, or a good sports team has to be a mixture of, of young and old. Everything has a shelf life. Sports has an earlier shelf life. Business has a little longer shelf life, because it's more of a mind game than a physical game. You know, tennis, some of the greats have finished, footballers, Diego Maradona, and he was my hero. You know, he died a couple of days ago. He finished playing at a much earlier age than a cricketer would finish. So there are champions, there are legends, there are geniuses who have actually finished at a much earlier age than when corporates actually start to become bosses and take industries forward. So shelf life will be there for everyone, and you have to accept it, and move on. And I think that's what it is. That's what life is.
So, leading from a captain and a player who you have control of the game while it's happening, to the role which you played briefly as a mentor in the dugout, can't control the outcomes of what's going on, which you had to give up to serve the Indian cricket establishment as the president of the BCCI. In the interim period that you saw, and you built a firepower of a team who went on to sort of almost create history with their first title this season. What is that environment? How different is the role from a captain to a mentor, where you're playing the John Wright, or you are playing the John Wright plus? How does that role become different when you have given up control as a player and captain?
It's tough and easy as well, because it's tough because you actually can't perform. It's tough because your success depends on the players who are actually in the middle. But it's easier on the other side, because you're not doing the real things. You've gone past it, and then somebody else is taking that forward. I always believe, whether you are a captain, whether you're a mentor, it's the team which matters. And I think, look at the Mumbai Indians in IPL. They've built a franchise, a solid franchise over a period of time. They back the players, they keep the players together. There's a method to that madness. There's a reason why they are five-time champions of probably the biggest league in the world. And it's because of the likes of Rohit Sharma, Hardik Pandya, Kunal Pandya, Bumrah. They've created Bumrah from nowhere, picked him up from Gujarat, and probably one of the best fast bowlers in the world at the moment. Teams are
And
built.
one of your friends did that, John Wright.
John Wright, exactly, and teams are built on persistence. Teams are built on backing youngsters. Teams are built on backing talent, which is most important. I think in the corporate world, it's also the same, that you back the best and make them, allow them the platform to perform. I'm a firm believer that you don't back individuals, whether it's in sport, whether it's in corporate world. You don't pick or select individuals expecting them to fail. You select someone expecting them to perform. When a Sundar Raman gets appointed by the biggest corporates, he knows that he's got the ability to take the brand forward, and he's been appointed because the brand expects him to succeed. And it's the same thing with sport, that you pick players so that they perform. You don't pick players to drop them. And I think that's the biggest thing I have in my mind, and I see that change in Indian culture. MS Dhoni's leadership, Virat Kohli's leadership, and Rohit Sharma, one of my favorite captains, his leadership. He's calm. He allows players to blossom, and he's got all the ingredients of becoming a very very good captain. So it's about the eye, it's about persistence, and it's about giving confidence to players. I know I shared the dressing room with Ricky Ponting. Ricky Ponting was the head coach
Yeah.
of Delhi Capitals, and I was the mentor. And I saw a great player like Ricky Ponting pick up positives. He was fantastic to hear at the end of games every time when DC used to win, and he used to sit there in the dressing room speaking to the players for 5 minutes at the end of the day. Not for once I've seen him pick up a negative issue, even when they were smashed and lost. And I'm sure he must have done the same thing this year as well. He never picked up the reason of losses. He picked up the positives. If somebody got a 50, somebody took a brilliant catch, somebody made a brilliant save in the crucial stages, along with the man of the matches on the ground. The team had man of the matches in the dressing room. So it was an atmosphere created out of positivity. And I'm sure a lot of brands, a lot of corporates do the same thing. I see that they have speaking sessions. They bring in successful people from all over the country, over the world. It is because to instill that faith and belief and the imagination that I will succeed, which is very, very important. Self belief is must. Half of your job is what you believe in yourself, and I firmly believe that in life.
So I'm going to digress slightly a bit about your post-retirement life. One, everybody wants to know what your routine has been, but before that, in your book, "A Century Is Not Enough," you mentioned the best things in life are unwanted. Explain
Yeah,
that to us, or help us understand that.
yeah. I say that from my personal experience. All the good things from me in my life never came with planning. And when I first played for India in '96, Navjot Singh Sidhu was a certainty for the Test matches. Dropped out. I got an opportunity from nowhere to play. When I became captain, Sachin Tendulkar was a stalwart then. He was the captain of India. He did not want to captain India. I became captain. When I became the board president, there was a massive shake-up, rightfully or wrongfully, in the cricket culture of administrative culture of India. And I was asked to take the leadership from nowhere. Yes, I was president of BCC, of Cricket Association of Bengal. That also I got because one of my favorite person, somebody who I've looked up to, who has had a huge influence in my playing career, died. He died in 2015, and I became president from nowhere. So I always believe that if you keep working well, if you remain in the system, good things happen, because people know, people look, the colleagues you work with, the teammates you spend time with know what's happening. They know who's the go-to man, who's the person who can do things. And I think for me, every leadership role in life has come from nowhere. And it's not that I've been a consistent vice captain to be a captain. I've not been a consistent vice president to be a president. It's just that I've got those roles to take it forward. I'm fortunate, as I firmly believe that a lot many people get such opportunities. And actually, my career after cricket has been a lot more busier than during my cricket, because during my cricket I only played cricket and did nothing else. But after I finished, I did everything else other than playing cricket. So I remained with the game because that's what you love. Even now, after retiring from all forms of cricket for almost 7 years, a good cricket match just makes me sit up and watch. When India plays, they were playing Australia yesterday, and I would sit on the sofa, and if a drop catch or a poor fielding or a bad shot, I would jump up on the sofa. So that involvement remains. At times you have to pinch yourself and say, hey, listen, your time's up, and you need to sit back and enjoy and relax. But that doesn't happen. And I saw you this IPL, it was as if you were playing. I know all of us listening here, I once thought that Sundar now have shifted to Dubai, because he was watching every game, whether it's in Abu Dhabi, whether it's in Dubai, whether it's in Sharjah. Sundar was there to watch it. And that's from the passion of the game. It doesn't go away. You may not be in a similar role, you may not be a leader all the time, but that love and passion doesn't go away. So I think in life, the journey is important. If you do that journey well, whether it's in business, whether it's in administration, whether it's in sport, I think the end results ultimately become good for you. And I think it's happened to me, and I just say it from my experience.
Now, just moving on to the other phase of your life, Saurav. You are a big proponent of entrepreneurship. You stated that Mr. Tata is one of your role models in an entrepreneurial world. as well as you made your own investments in Flick Street and as an entertainment company as a startup. You're the face of many brands which are all in the startup space, and you have interactions with them with the founders, the youth who are in their mid 20s or early 30s. What is it about entrepreneurship that draws you? Which, because you in your career you always behave like an entrepreneur. You took those bold decisions. You backed the people. You took certain things which people don't expect you to do. You broke the mold. What is it that about you and entrepreneurship, whether it's an investment or looking up to people or even being the face of that draws you to entrepreneurship?
No, I think it's looking up to people. For first and foremost, the first name you took, Ratan Tata, I'm just in awe of that person, and that is because of a personal experience. I visited him in the year 2011 for some personal work. He could have turned me down. Being Ratan Tata himself, being such a successful person. The the head of such one of the biggest conglomerates in the country. His behavior, his attitude to help, and he did help me. Did help me in a very difficult situation, and for nothing, just stood with me forever. His simplicity. You should go to his office, and I'm sure you must have visited his office at the Tata House. It's like a peace center. It's like a monk's office. There is no noise. There's no sound. There's nobody screaming. There's no telephones ringing all the time, but work's happening. I just love the way he led his life. I remember going to him at 5:36 in the evening, and he was leaving office after me. He said, "Come, I'll take you on a ride in my car." And you could not believe that the same gentleman who was so serene and so calm in the office room, moment he got that convertible of his, he was zooming through the streets of Bombay. And I love the way he goes about his life. And for me, as you said, entrepreneurs, I love youth, and I love people being successful. It takes you with them also. When I see a young businessman or a middle-aged businessman successful, it instills confidence in you. You said you believe that, hey, if he can, I can. And that's why I always believe that winners are created in good atmospheres and in dealing with the best. So my attachment with startups is obviously to be a part of their journey, to see whether I'm still good enough to influence them, and see whether they can survive, because I've been in leadership roles many a number of times. And in leadership roles, the best thing is the people you support, is the people you work with being successful. I build private schools. I've started building private schools for education, and I'm very passionate about it. So I have put my hands in various places, with the intention that I want to remain successful. I want to keep doing things where I succeed. It'll never be like cricket, because cricket in this country is just like a religion. But then cricket or anything doesn't last forever. Even the prime minister beg your pardon, the president of America can't stay for more than 8 years. So every good thing has to come to an end. But then you keep winning in other aspects of life. You keep winning in other departments of life, and I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. It makes me happier in life, and it gives me that confidence that that you can create. I'm a big believer in that. I never led life looking at harming, destroying, putting people down. Creating, supporting, winning, helping people to get better, uh, always appealed to me, and I led life that way. Maybe because I've seen a lot of successes, that could be one of the reason I made my mind change that way. But I believe that in trying to be successful and in seeing others successful, it's a lot happier world than the other way around, and I believe in that.
Does Sourav Ganguly have some part of his mind or brain or heart saying, "I wish I was 20 years younger," being
Every time.
in this time of the world, not only in terms of IPL, but in terms of being seeing the technological revolution and change that's happening around us?
Yeah, I do, but I think some of the technology has gone too far. But every time I see a Hardik Pandya, a Virat Kohli, and a Rohit Sharma bat that way, I wish I could play again. I could hit that ball again. It's an amazing feeling. The best thing, when I finished playing, I did an interview about 4 or 5 years ago, and somebody said that you've done so well for yourself. You are in a well-to-do family. Finances are not a problem. You get so many opportunities in life to do other things. What is it that you miss? I said, I miss that challenge. I miss that challenge, waking up at 6:30 in the morning, and I know I have to hit that cricket ball through covers or through point or through square leg. And by 4:30, either I'm successful or I'm not successful. I missed that challenge in life. I did not have a second chance because if I nicked, I nicked. I had to go back to the pavilion. Everything in life now gives me a second chance, and I miss it. So when I see these young boys play, although I've played more than 450 games for the country, and not many would, by God's grace, would be able to play that much games. I still miss it. I still enjoy, getting ready for a cricket game, getting ready for a match. Those nervousness, those dodgy times, then play the best fast bowler and hit him through covers. It's an ultimate satisfaction because that's what close to my heart. Why you turn up for every IPL game, because you know from inside that you've created this property in 2008. You've spent 7 years of your life running from one part of India to the other, from the month of April till May, and all your office work before and after that to create this brand. So when you create something, when something is so close to you, it will always remain close to you. And that's the same thing with my cricket.
True that, and we've all seen the joy that you brought to people's faces more than anything else, Sourav. A quick couple of short rapid fire questions before we throw it out to the audience for their questions and some closing remarks. Your most memorable match?
My first test will always be my most memorable game because that's what made me who I am. That's what made me believe that even at this level, I would succeed. So my first test will always be very, very special to me because it gave me an introduction to the world of sport, which believed that a Sourav Ganguly could succeed. And I think that that would be the case for a lot of young players who succeed at that level.
And your what is your go-to, your mental tool when you are under pressure?
I just go quiet. I just go quiet and bear it. I'm not a very vocal person. What you see, what people see, have seen Sourav Ganguly on the field, the off the field person is completely different. You know,
That I've seen.
yeah, quiet in his own world, loves his own space, goes around quietly. People will not even recognize that he's gone past you. So, so I'm that sort of a person, and we are all under pressure, and it's better to be under pressure than not to be under pressure because when you're under pressure means that people expect you to be good and people expect you to deliver. It's a better life rather than not having anything to deliver. I've always say that to people who say I'm feeling the heat. I said it's good you're feeling the heat because that means you're still good. That means people still want you to perform. Don't get to a situation where there's no heat on you. And 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 the game over the years has made me learn a lot of things. Cricket, and it's not just for me, but to other athletes as well. It teaches you life because you're up, you're down, you're under pressure, you're happy in the evening, you drop a catch, you get criticized. The next one, you take an absolute blinder. So it just levels everything up. 100 in this innings, you start from scratch. The next game, zero, and you could be might as well out for zero the next game. So this game not only gives you name, fame, popularity, it also makes you learn life. And I've learned to handle things because of this game. So I remain calm. I remain quiet because I never believe that under pressure you become volatile. Under pressure you just don't do tantrums because it doesn't solve. The best way to is to absorb it, soak it, and let your ability take over. It's a must. And I'm telling you, pressure is something, and I'm sure that a lot of corporate people here, pressure is something which you get used to it. You put yourself under pressure one season, two season, three season. The fourth season, you will not feel the pressure. It becomes a muscle memory to you. So the best way to embrace pressure is to accept it and deliver under pressure. You may falter once, you may falter twice, but ultimately you will conquer the mindset and what comes off along with being under pressure.
Um, just going to ask a few of the viewer questions that have come through, Sourav. Very strange and interesting one. As a leader, strategist, communicator, administrator, entrepreneur, team player, when can we expect Mr. Sourav Ganguly to set up a center for excellence to impart management skills through sports? Is that on the cards at all?
It's tough, Sundar. I don't think so. It's not on the cards at all. But I'm very passionate about education. The first school will be ready in a few months' time. Proper education school, pre-primary to college, along with cricket, and probably try and work with children during that period. and impart them training, mind skills, how to cope with different situations. So that would probably be a part of it, but not just a standalone management institute to for mindset and how to handle pressure. Getting, as I said, seeing young talent becoming good or great is a huge satisfaction. So that's one of the things which I really wanted to do in life.
How do you handle teams that think they can win, but when the chips are down, how do you motivate them? How do you get them up the keel because you believe in their potential but not performing to the potential?
A lot of teams go through that. Positiveness is very important. Positive mindset is very important. The easiest thing is to tell a player that you can't bat. The hardest thing and the right thing is to tell him that you have the talent, but you got to fight it out. There are ways of looking things at it. And everyone in sport will go up and down. I've seen the great Sachin Tendulkar go through periods where he would come and say that, where do I get a run from? It happens to the best. It happens to the greatest. My hero Diego Maradona, if you remember, in 1984, was playing for the greatest club, Barcelona, and his exit from Barcelona was fighting, punching, boxing the opposition until they had to throw him out of Barcelona. So that's what it is. The chips will be down, but you have to look at the positive side of it. Faith is huge thing in life. Faith in any profession. Faith actually creates and solves all your problems. So keep away the negativity. Just look at the positives and keep working hard. Negativity just kills you. If you believe that you can't do it, nobody in the world can make you do it. And it's the other way around. When you believe you can, it's a simple word. When you grow up, a lot of us have heard this and will hear it, that if you believe you can, you can. You must have heard it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But that line has got magic on every individual, not just me. And I think that's the key to success. Everyone will be differently talented. Every member of the team which I played in that generation had different talents. Some exceptional, some gritty, some flamboyant, some natural. So they all had different talents and the different ways to express and succeed. But for me, what is important is that faith, is that mindset of training your mind that when you walk into a tough situation, you will succeed. I think that's very important in life.
And related to that is what is the, I won't say an advice, or what would be your approach to for better teamwork and collaboration, because cricket is a team sport played by individuals, and how do you get the best out of the individuals to be a part of the team? When one person is low, how does the rest of them work? And are there instances where a team dinner helped, or just a punch up between John Wright and Sourav Ganguly helped? What are some of those tricks that one can be using in daily life?
I think respect in failure is also important. Nobody wants to fail. When you play for India, when you work for the best business house in the country, nobody wants to fail. Everybody wants to be successful. So how you address failure is important. It's the arm around the shoulder. It's about walking the distance with him and say that, hey, I believe in you as a leader. Yes, punches might happen because everybody is emotional, the stakes are high. But once you establish a respect among individuals, those punches are also forgotten, because they know deep down the heart that this gentleman or this human being wants me to do well. So you will get into situations in a team sport where everybody will not perform. Somebody will let you down. I've always heard the word when I was a captain, that a captain should lead by example. It's the easiest thing to say and the hardest thing to do. Because at the end of the day, the captain is also a human being. There are captains who've actually struggled during their leadership period because they've taken it too much on themselves. They've taken the job too hard. So I think it's about respect. It's about positivity. It's about creating an atmosphere of positivity within the core group of people, and also telling the right things. Because when you're not doing well, you'll have players coming up to you and say that, why am I not scoring well? Why am I nicking? Why is the ball not going in the right place? And I think with respect, you need to tell them that that's the problem. Your feet not working. You're worried about the short ball. You're not training enough. And I think that honesty is very important. It's not that just turn up and say, no, no, it'll happen, good things will happen, keep trying. That's the easiest thing to say. But the hardest thing is to go walk up and tell him that, hey, listen, I'm your friend, but I think you're not training enough. I think you're not getting into those fitness mode, and not enough effort in your fitness regime, which helps you to become a better player. I think sometimes being honest, sometimes being straightforward, and sometimes telling the truth actually makes people rather than breaking it.
Leading from there, Saurabh, we've lived amidst the pandemic, and thanks to you and everyone in the cricketing establishment for bringing back IPL and bringing not just hope but entertainment and life back to a lot of Indian sports loving and general entertainment fans. Uh, in these type of situations, where do you see, what are the role and purpose of sport that you see, as a lot of lives have been impacted to varying degrees because of COVID, job losses, loss of life and loss of livelihood. A lot of things have happened. And what purpose does sports serve in this period, in your view?
Sundar, all of us here in this discussion, I want to ask all of you, how did you feel when you did not see live cricket or live sport from the month of March, maybe March
March,
end till July? It felt there was nothing in life. It felt that the television channels were hopeless.
emptiness. Yeah.
Emptiness, absolute empty. There's no football, there's no cricket, there's no tennis, tournaments getting cancelled, Wimbledon getting cancelled, the Olympics getting cancelled, the IPL getting pushed, the English Premier League getting pushed behind. You just felt, oh God, there's a disaster around because there's no sport. Sports has an amazing effect. Sports actually not only unites world, but actually sports help people from other profession to succeed. If you're a businessman, you're a part of one of the biggest business houses in the world. You see how they take on with their team, with what professionalism, with what attachment, and how close they are to the team. Because that's what sport does. It's about real, it's about performances, it's about talent, and it actually brings everyone together. And you see that with every team. Chennai Super Kings, who was such a great IPL team for a long period of time, you see the attachment of everyone. That's what sport does. You see Diego Maradona on a football field. The emotions was unbelievable. I was hearing Gary Lineker speak on BT Sport about his experience with Diego Maradona. And and he said something which I loved it so much. He said, the greatest thing Diego Maradona had, and which maybe some other footballers didn't have, was his attachment to that ball. They were so simple words, but words which
Yeah.
had such heavy meaning.
Powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, so powerful. And that's what sport does. Sports is the biggest way of being happy in life. Sports is the biggest way of turning things around in life. You may have a bad day in office, which we all have. You may have a quarter where your businesses have not done well, but I've seen the biggest businessmen, when they turn up on a football field or a cricket field, become like teenagers, screaming, jumping, shouting, waiting for the team to win. It's just the passion, it's just the
Yeah.
attachment which they have. And sports is unique. Sports creates champions. The respect for athletes, the respect for a Maradona or a Tendulkar or a Federer or a Kohli or a Dhoni is unreal. And I think that's what sport does to you.
Fantastic words, that Saurav. Penultimate question: you've been in cricket administration, active administration, for the past 5 years or a little more. Um, Crystal ball gaze to us. 10 years from now, Indian cricket.
Indian cricket will always be huge. I don't think I will be an administrator, nor do I want to. 10 years down the line from here, and hopefully someone gives me an opportunity to be on the field in some way or the other. But Indian cricket will always blossom. It's just so much passion in this country. On a Saturday or a Sunday, all of you who live in Bombay, I live in Calcutta, you see mums and dads. Their kids are at the bike of their motorbikes, on the taxis, on the auto rickshaws with the biggest, heaviest cricket kit bags to get to the ground and play. Because the role models are such. When I used to grow up, a lot of people used to tell me, why did Pakistan produce such great fast bowlers? Because they are role models of Imran, Wasim, Waqar, Sarfaraz. And why does India produce such great batsmen? Because they have the role models of Gavaskar, Tendulkar, Vishwanath, Dravid, Kohli. Role models are very important in life. And And this country will keep producing players. When Kapil Dev came in, I keep forgetting his name. He's probably one of the greatest. Kapil Dev came in, Gavaskar came in. Then people thought, who next? Then the likes of Tendulkar came in, Dravid came in, Kumble came in. Then people thought, who next? The MS Dhoni came in. It's Virat Kohli now, and there'll be someone 5 years down the line as well. And the game in this country will be healthy. The game in this country will prosper. Whoever runs the game, 5 years, 10 years down the line, there'll be new people running the game. But this sport is only going to go up. You've seen IPL in 2008 and IPL in 2020. It's just gone through unbelievable strides, and and this will happen, and it's because of the talent which this country produced. Imagine a Bumrah from a village in Gujarat, no coaching, different action, not the classical fast bowling action, and just see the effectiveness. They're just so natural. So countries like India, Australia, or maybe Brazil in football, Argentina in football, will always produce champions, and the sport will always remain healthy in those parts of the world.
Saurav, may your love affair with the game continue forever and ever, and may your contribution to the sport and inspiration to people around us last forever. Before we let you go, your word of advice to young leaders, entrepreneurs, something that you would want them to keep in mind from the journey of life that you've had, and that they could be enriching themselves with.
Firstly, do a job which you're passionate about. And once you decide what you want to do, give everything you have, because these times don't come back. And work so hard that the only thing in your life is will be successful. Now, you will have hiccups, you will go through periods where you will fail, but ultimately, if your heart's in the right place and you're putting time and effort with honesty, you will succeed. I've seen that in sport. I've seen that with champions. They've played the best when they have worked the hardest. And that's what a young entrepreneur in any aspect of life, sport, business, culture, politics, needs to put. Be honest, and give everything you have, which is very, very important.
Saurav, you are in your 40s. May you have another 100 years to give to the sport. For we need the experience and the charm and the intelligence and the commitment that you brought into the sport. And may your contribution extend to all aspects of it. Thank you so very much for taking this 1 hour out of your schedule. We love this session, and I'm sure the questions are pouring, the thoughts are pouring in. Everybody wants to know and get more of you, but we understand that there's a clock that we're all working towards. Thank you ever so much for honoring us with your presence.
Thank you, Sundar, and thank you, everyone. Obviously, I've never met all of you, but thank you for having me. Please convey my regards to Mr. Harsh for having me in this discussion for the foundation, and I know this has been on for a while, and in the future years we'll have a lot of good people sharing, a lot of successful people sharing their experiences on this platform. Thank you so much for having me, and stay safe, and see you soon.
We couldn't have asked for a grander finale to the ASCENT